Have you ever asked yourself, how much protein do I actually need? Well, I'm Jordan Thompson with The Perfect Workout, and today we're going to deep dive into the importance of protein, how much you need to gain muscle, how much is enough protein, and so much more. So why is protein so important? Protein intake affects how much lean muscle you gain from exercise, and if eating more protein enables more muscle growth, then any additional protein to your usual diet should help, right? Well, it's actually not quite that simple. Researchers have discovered a phenomenon called the protein change theory. If you want to gain more strength and muscle by adding protein to your typical diet, there's evidence that you can't just do a little bit in order to make a difference. Research has shown the increase in your diet must be significant. The protein change theory was created after researchers noticed conflicting results in studies. In studies when strength trainees increased their habitual protein intake, some gained strength and muscle and others saw no change at all. When we look a little bit closer at how much the intake was increased between the two that got stronger and those who didn't, a really clear answer actually stood out. These studies showing noticeable strength and muscle gains averaged a protein consumption increase of 60%. And the studies with a small increase, such as those under 20%, led to no changes. In terms of actual amounts, a 60% increase for a person who eats about 50 grams of protein per day is jumping to a daily amount of about 80 grams of protein, which, translates to about 5 more ounces of meat or protein a day. To maximize muscle and strength growth, protein intake can have a really big effect. According to the protein change theory, a large increase, perhaps as much as 2/3 of your current intake, may actually be needed to notice extra results. Otherwise, any change in protein consumption may not make as much of an impact on your strength or your appearance as you might think. So how much protein is enough for you? Although many people normally eat a diet that provides a sufficient amount of protein that can, lead to good strength training results, some people do not. One recent study looking at protein intake with people who strength train found that if enough protein isn't consumed, muscle development will be limited. So again, how much is enough? Research concludes that a person who strength trains should consume a minimum of 1.3 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. To translate this formula into pounds, you can figure out your daily minimum by multiplying your weight by 0.7. So for example, a 100-pound person times 0.7 equals 70 grams per day. If you're 150 pounds, that's about 105 grams per day. If you're 200 pounds, that's 140 grams per day. And if you're 250 pounds, this is about 175 grams per day. According to the Journal of Nutrition, a high protein intake is helpful for a number of reasons, including reducing hunger levels and snack cravings. It decreases the risk of developing osteoporosis, and it also helps sustain weight loss. And for older adults, a higher protein diet is connected with maintaining functional abilities, strength and muscle, and recovering faster or more quickly from hospitalizations. A high protein diet is helpful for maximizing your physique, your health, and physical function. But is there such a thing as too much protein? Eating a lot of protein is actually kind of challenging. So unless you're somebody who's been eating an excessive amount of protein, let's say like 350 grams of protein a day, which is, again, very challenging to do, you probably don't need to worry about eating too much protein. But one concern that some people have in fear of eating too much protein is it may lead to some kidney damage. And some research supports the idea that this really shouldn't be a concern for most people. The University of Connecticut researchers in a study came to the conclusion that we find no significant evidence for a detrimental effect on high protein intakes on kidney function in healthy people. So there's not too much to worry about there. Also, the Institute of Medicine states that protein is safe to consume for 10 to 35% of calorie intake. So to put that into context, a person who consumes, let's say, 100 grams of protein and 2,000 total calories per day only consumes about 20% of calories from their protein. If you're not sure if you can eat enough protein simply because of how much food it would require to consume in a day, one of the trickiest parts about eating a high protein diet is finding a way to get in all those grams. So how can you reach the amount that's recommended for a person of maybe your weight? Consume a major source of protein at every single meal. Some whole food sources of highly digestible protein are poultry, fish, red meat, eggs, and dairy. Other examples of high protein foods include low-fat Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and even tofu. If you're looking for a protein supplement, consider whey, casein, egg, or pea protein. These supplements have high levels of most or all amino acids and are largely digestible. Now, some of you watching this video might get a little concerned about all this talk about protein and lifting weights and gaining strength because you might be thinking, this is gonna make me bigger. But it is extremely unlikely that you will bulk up like a bodybuilder, regardless of how much protein you eat. Instead, all of us over the age of 25 are actually fighting against age-related muscle loss, which is called sarcopenia. And this slows the metabolism, promotes fat gain, and is definitely not what we want. We recommend striving to develop every bit of body-shaping, calorie-burning muscle tissue that you can. And the relationship between strength training and nutrition is an interrelated one. While putting in a great effort at the end of each strength training exercise is key, protein provides the amino acids that your body uses to develop new muscle tissue. If you'd like to learn more about our method of exercise and strength training, visit theperfectworkout.com where you can learn about what we do, how it can help you, and you can even get started with a free introductory session.